folks, Arcanum here. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Driptech TS by 528 Customs and Greg Stevens and Defiant Designs. It is a fully mechanical triple parallel 18650 squonk box. And what really sets this thing apart is the fact that it is a triple parallel fully mechanical squonk box. If you're familiar with squonking at all, you know that most are a single 18650. A lot are fully mechanical, but when you're dealing with just a single battery, you're dealing with very low amp limits. You're dealing with very limited battery life. So that's what kind of makes this thing so much fun, is that it kind of does away with a lot of that. It gives you a lot more freedom to build. It gives you much more battery life, a lot more battery life. So you can actually not only leave the house without a bottle of juice, but you can also leave the house without a pocket full of batteries. You can just kind of load this baby up and go out. I've had this I got it the day they came out, so I've had it a little over a week, but I have taken a few extended car rides with it. From Asheville over to the other side of North Carolina. So I've spent a fair amount of time with it. This will not be a full review. This will just kind of be a basic, ins and outs. I'm going to tear it down, all the way down for you, so you can see how it goes together, what it's made of, and that's pretty much it. I have it with the, right now I have the Goon 1.5 on top, and this little guy is rocking. I really am enjoying it. It's about the same footprint, more or less, as the original rouleau. The original Wismec rouleau. So it's a little hefty, but it's not too big to carry around in your pocket. I've been carrying mine around for a week now. I take it to work. I take it pretty much everywhere I go. And it took a little bit of getting used to, but not much. It's a hefty fella, but it's not wildly cumbersome or anything. But so we're going to zip on down. I'm going to tear this thing down to its bolts, and so you can, show you how to fill the squonk bottle, or how I fill the squonk bottle, and we'll take a quick look, and we'll slap it all back together, and then we'll say a thing or two about a thing or two. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to tear this buddy down. I'm going to give you a brief overview of how it works. First things first, let me just read you the specifics of the website. The Driptech TS is anodized aluminum body and components, triple parallel 18650 configuration, gold-plated copper internals and negative contacts, two 10 ml capacity bottles, complete set of replacement internal and external Allen screws and O-rings, two stainless steel squonk caps and straws, two travel inserts and caps for the bottles, two spare magnets, a 1.5mm Allen driver, a stainless steel key for negative battery contacts. Comes with an optional spring that's a little bit firmer than the one that comes in it. And it's got built-in battery polarity protection. So, comes in this box here. This little buddy is kind of a diagram, shows you how it all goes together. It's got all the parts. They're all numbered and labeled. It also shows them in the order in which they go together. And basically just a little bit of a little rundown on how to operate it, how to set it up. 1.5mm Allen driver that I have yet to use their version, but it's right here. Extra screws and O-rings. A complete set of everything. And an extra spring if you prefer a firmer throw. They got you covered. And it comes with an extra squonk cap and straw. If you've ever used most squonk boxes have a rubber straw that goes into the 510, and it goes down through the cap in the bottle and goes down to the bottom of the bottle. It's a little flimsy, a little
cumbersome to use, a lot of fidgeting and fiddling involved. This thing is no nonsense. I'm going to show you in a minute how I fill the bottle and everything, and you'll see how easy it is. No squonker on earth has such an easy setup. In this little Ziploc came a couple of other goodies that I will show you in just a second. So in that Ziploc bag, that last one I showed you, was this little fellow. I'm sure you could see it, but not quite so well. So let me pop it off. Now it came with 2 of these, and this is just a little clear plastic buddy. It's got like a keyhole shape. You slide the larger edge over the 510 pin on the bottom of your atomizer, and you just push up, and that's it. It protects the surface of your mod, so no matter how many times you screw and unscrew an atomizer down, it doesn't mar the surface of your box. So here is the bottom. I'm going to use the key they gave me to take these off. You don't need to totally unscrew these. You just need to really bring them like one or two threads past the surface. If you could see, like, that's pretty much it. You do that and they will be loose enough. I have juice all over everything. Now this squonk cap I take all the way off, because to loosen it enough to remove the sled, you practically have to take it off. And if you just take it off, set it aside, it'll save you the heartbreak of having it fall on the floor unexpectedly and get lost forever. So I just take it off, put it somewhere safe, and this little guy just slides right off. That's it. It's got 4 magnets that kind of keep it in place. Even if everything is loosened, this sled will not go anywhere because the magnets will hold it in place. So very nice. Your batteries go in positive side up, negative side down, as it is parallel and mechanical. And there's your bottle. That's all you need to do to install it, is you just drop it in. There's no messing with a straw, no messing with anything. So to fill it, the wise thing to do would be to just take this thing all the way out. I set it on like a paper towel or something, and I'm going to do this with a glass bottle, which is not the easiest thing on earth to do, but I'm going to do it. So what I do is I fill it pretty much right to where, just below the threads on the bottle, right to where the curvature on the bottle begins. So I fill it pretty much right to here. And then you just squeeze it enough to bring the juice to the top. Where the hell did I put this goddamn straw? Oh, there it is. And as I slide the straw in, I let go little by little. And I put my finger over the top of the hole. Let me get this on camera. Put the finger over the top of the hole. Squeeze it down. I dripped the drip on myself, but that was not the bottle's fault. And then if you have enough, as long as you squeeze the bottle when you push that down, when I let go of my finger off the top, it'll pull a little bubble through, and that's it. It's full. Should you just toss the cap down in there, physics will eject a fair amount of juice in your direction. So if you squeeze the bottle, slide it in, cover the hole, and then let it go, that'll be, that's it. Nothing, no mess, no nothing. And to get it in, again, you just drop it in place. There's no fiddling about. The way the the polarity protection works is you have this screw here. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You have the screw here, and this is the outside that faces you. And on the inside, you'll notice that it is hollow. So if you were to put a battery in upside down, it's not going to touch the positive pin on the battery. It's just going to rest on the insulator, assuming your batteries, as they should be, are wrapped properly. So you're not going to have anything coming in contact with the positive pin, even if you screw these all the way in like you're not supposed to. So that is how they protect you from silly accidents. Now, I use this little key. I just threw it on my keychain. But another thing that maybe you might not immediately, that might not occur to you immediately, is that when you use this little key, you can see it does not go past, it doesn't come anywhere close to the edge of the screw. So when you put this in, even if your battery was in backwards, it's not going to touch the battery because it cannot reach the battery. But if you were to use like, oh, I'm just running around town and I'm just going to use my house key to undo my battery, if your battery was in backwards and you were going to tighten these, what would happen is the key is touching the negative because this whole thing is negative. It's going to touch the negative and then it's going to touch the positive post on the battery, and that is going to result in one exciting afternoon, and not in a good way. Whoop. And under normal circumstances, when I'm not talking and explaining and doing things, it only takes a minute to pull this thing apart. So if you wanted to switch out the spring, or if you wanted to clean your positive contacts, or any of the other moving parts inside, it only takes but a minute. Now they give you a 1.5 millimeter hex driver, but I'm just using the one that came with my Twisted Messes Coil Master kit. So you undo those 4 screws. I know it's a little hard to see because I bought the black version, but you undo those 4 screws and then the top just lifts right off. You give it a little wiggle and it pops right off. And here are your positive terminals. So these are the screws. This is what actually touches the positive pin on your battery. This is your spring-loaded 510. And that's it. This is the brains of the operation here, and that is also comes apart with the same hex driver. You undo these silver hex screws. Now when you do this, there is a spring behind the 510, so you want to keep a good amount of pressure on this little cluster. Otherwise it will most certainly result in a disastrous explosion of tiny parts. So definitely squeeze this while you're undoing these screws. And when those 4 screws are out, that's it. The spring will push them apart. This is the spring here, so you take that, set it somewhere safe. And it has a little spacer inside. This little plate, it's got one larger hole and one smaller hole. The larger hole is for the pin on the back of the switch. And then that's it. That's actually your switch. The positive connects to the positive on the 510. And when you hit this, it touches this plate on the back, somewhere around here. Shazam. And you have magic. So this is the back. You can see how all 3 positive terminals are connected just with one plate. And that's it. Now if you wanted to switch out the spring, or just, clean this screw here, because this is going to be, that's probably going to corrode a little bit, or oxidize, however you want to say it. This is just like a Phillips or a flathead. I'm just using a flathead, and it'll just come right out. And that's it. Now, you do that, and that's your switch. The switch itself does not actually come in contact with anything. All it does is push this plate towards the this plate here with the positive terminals on it. So just a little plastic piece. It's got a spring on it. And that's it. So you could switch this spring out. Actually, let me do that. I just want to see what the other spring is like. They feel very similar, but I'm going to trust that that one is stiffer. So, to put it back together, it's as easy as you drop the switch back on, I'm going to line up the little tiger face so that it's facing me, because that's the way I like it. Put tension on the spring. And then that's it. Tighten that buddy down, and it's good as new. Now, your switch should not spin. The little, whatever direction this little face is looking when you get it, it should never be facing another way. If it is, you just need to flip this over and tighten this screw, and it won't move around anymore. So, do that. Drop the spring back on the 510. Put my little spacer buddy in place. Drop this little guy back in place too. Now when you push this down, this little O-ring is going to jump out at you. To avoid that, you just got to hold it in place when you push these together. So on the inside, you're dealing with these silver screws. And that's it. You know, if you're not talking or doing anything at the same time, this really should only take a minute. It does not specify on the website whether this plastic is just regular plastic, or if it's Delrin, or if it's Ultim, or whatever it is. So I'm just going to go ahead and treat it like it's normal plastic. And I'm going to say, do not over tighten anything. Because if you strip this stuff out, they do not, as of yet, drop this in place. Falls right in. The 510 goes over the squonk end. These 4 screws just drop right in. And that's it. It's all back together. Now, positive, positive, positive in. Bottle in. Now if it doesn't fall in perfectly, a little rattle, and bam, there you go. That is the most you ever need to fiddle with that, and it is a beautiful thing. This guy snaps right in place. This, you don't need a tool. It's got these, just a nice little thing for you to spin. So there's that. And with these, as with anything on this mod, you do not need to over tighten anything. None of this has ever rattled loose on me. All I do is snug everything up. These are just as tight 7 hours later when I go to pull the batteries out as they were when I put them on. And then screw your addy on. And that's, if you've done everything correct, there's your reward. I can't really show because of these coils. I have like some silly Instagram coils on here. You can't really see the squonking action, but you're just going to have to trust that when I do this, it just forces juice up, pulls the excess juice back in, and you're good. Easy. Easy, easy. And that's that. So yeah, that was my little teardown of the Driptech TS, the triple 18650 version of this mod. They do make a dual 18650 version for a little bit less. I paid the full retail price for this, which was $135 plus shipping. I've been waiting for this for a while, so I was a little excited. And it is not without, not for no reason. It's been a fantastic experience with it so far. I may do a little bit of an update video once I've had it for a little while longer, see if any issues crop up. I don't see anything that looks wonky, anything that looks like it's going to fail. So if anything, I might follow this up with a little like best practices, like a parts that you're definitely going to need to look at to make sure you don't need to clean video, which I've spent a good amount of time with it. I'm happy with it. It works the way it's supposed to work. I'm really excited. I hope that
you know, the 528 Customs, Greg Stevens, Defiant Designs, little brain trust keeps pumping out mods like this, because this thing is beautiful and it's affordable and it's, you know, everything I thought it was going to be. So if you like what, you know, I did here, share it with a friend. I hope it was helpful. And, you know, everybody kind of, you know, likes to have a look at something before you go spending a lot of money on it. So I'm happy to take that plunge for y'all. You know, and I hope it was a useful video for you guys. I appreciate you spending your time with me. And until next time, signing off.